Hi guys, today we're making flowers. Well, flower quilt blocks because they're cute, easy and stunning. I mean, is there a better thing than a flower quilt? I don't think so. Let's go. You know how much I'm into English paper piecing with what we're doing with the La Pasacaglia quilt and whatnot, so there is really no other way for me, I'll even consider making a hexagons. Plus, they're just really easy to make. So we are going to need 7 hexagons, right? So these 6 petals right here and one for the center. Now these are not squares in the slightest, but we don't need them to be. Now for the petals, you can use, the same fabric for the petals, just like I'm doing, or just keep it within the same color. It will look cute either way, okay? And now we are just going to be making hexies. I've missed making hexies, I've been all about the pentagons and the diamonds and whatnot, so hexies are a nice change of pace. Plus that's how I actually started making English paper piecing, so I kind of miss it. And with this glue gun, I used to sew it together, but the glue gun, just makes my life so much easier. Yes, there's one extra face, but for the flowers, it's worth it, you guys. It really is. Because if you make a pentagon instead of a hexagon, you'll need an in-between piece, a piece that you'll use to just connect the flowers all together. With the hexagon, you don't need that. Okay, so these are our pieces, and this is what our tiny little flower is going to look like. And now all there's left to do is to sew them all together, by hand or machine. I usually prefer to sew it by hand because I just find it so rare to have sewing projects that you can do at any time of the day. And I find hand sewing so relaxing, if you don't do it for long, of course, in which case it can be a little bit painful. Well, at least at first. Now for this one, just to, shake things up a bit, I am going to machine sew it. Yeah, a few stitches with these and I realized I much rather sew by hand. My sewing machine was not happy to sew over this thick paper, so yeah, let's keep it simple. Okay, so now that we have our tiny little flower right here, you could say our work is done because this is a quilt block on its own. Just imagine having dozens of flowers like this one, you just sew them together. They fit quite nicely, of course, because they're just making geometrical shapes, and you can make an entire quilt just like that. Or you could, of course, applicate it into a square like we'll be doing next. Now, you can use several stitches for this. You can hand sew it onto the block, or you can just machine sew it with a simple straight stitch or with an applique stitch, whatever you choose. Just remember to take the paper inserts out before sewing, unless you're using those that don't need to be removed, of course. So now I'm just going to shake things up a bit and just machine sew it, okay? After I remove my inserts, of course. So I've removed my inserts and I am ready to apply my beautiful flower on to the background. Okay, and now we sew. And that's it, first block done, ready to go. Okay, moving on to our second quilt block, and this one is really simple too. You will need 3 fabrics. One for the petals, one for the center of the flower, and one for the background. So we have 4 3.5 inch squares for the petals, and these are the ones I have picked. And then we will need 4 1.5 by 1.5 inch squares for the center of our flower, and then 12 1.5 by 1.5 inches for the background fabric. Yeah, these are 12, trust me. And this is pretty much it. Okay, so now we take one of our petal squares, one of our largest squares, and we use it as a base, and we will be adding 1 center square like so, and 3 background squares, 1 and 2 and 3, just like this. So now we're just going to sew them all diagonally, and for this I need to pin them to my block first and foremost to make sure they don't move and that they're right where I want them, nice and centered. And the second step will be to draw a diagonal line so I will know where to sew. So let's do that, and you can use a pencil or a pen, not a problem, because these lines will not show, okay? And now we sew. Okay, so after this, what we do is we trim off the excess, 1 and 2, make sure to be on the right side. I have made mistakes and it was kind of painful. And now all we have to do is to press and trim these little squares, and they should look something like this. And now we repeat this for the remaining 3 petals. Okay, so now that we have all our 4 squares, all there's left to do is to make our puzzle, and that's actually pretty simple. Just turn the center together and there's our flower. So now we just sew them together, and that's pretty much it. Be right back. And that's it, you guys. A lovely flower made in absolutely no time. Okay, let's just move on to our next one, our final one. And for this one, we will need 4 3.5 squares for our petals. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And 4 1.5-inch squares for our background. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And again, just like we did for our last one, we are going to sew these diagonally in these squares. Okay, so these are our 4. So we may as well do this. And this is our lovely flower, but we're not done yet. So next we're going to add 4 3.5 by 1.5-inch rectangles from the background fabric, just like so. Let's sew this, shall we? Okay, now that this is done, we are adding more fabric, more background fabric, and this is 4 4.5 by 1.5-inch rectangles, and these tiny little leaves, there are 1.5 by 1.5-inch squares. So what we're doing with these, and you know the drill, we are going to be sewing these tiny little squares diagonally on to our big rectangles, like so. So you know how this goes, right? We are going to pin, and then we're going to draw a line, and then we're going to sew, and then we're going to cut off our excess and press and trim, and we will be ready to go. Be right back. Okay guys, now let's just assemble our puzzle one last time. So here we go. These are the leaves for our beautiful flower, and now all there's left to do is to sew all of it together, okay? Be right back. And here we have it, our lovely flower all trimmed and pressed. Isn't this cute? And that's it, guys. 3 very simple, very cute flowers you can make in no time. Totally beginner level, nothing particularly hard about it. Thank you for doing this with me. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I had a blast, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye bye.